to break down the Cougars.
Give me everything you got right now.
This is your Cougars Daily Update with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Oh, Smokey the Bear says July 5th is always a fun time to be in the news business. Mm-hmm. You guys love, I say you guys, Sam, you guys love, oh, look at this. Look at the Illegal Fireworks Task Force. This is my favorite because you know what they do?
Are there illegal fireworks in Utah still?
No. But you know, this
is
people coming over from Evanston, bro, with their truck beds and. But now here's the question: How do you? Well, no, you can't get the mortars. Can't see the ones. See those the canister shell mortars right there.
Oh,
that's a unique to Wyoming type situation. Okay. Not that I would know.
All right,
but you see what I'm saying?
I got you.
Yeah. When I lived in when you live in the Seattle area, there's a lot of the Native American reservations there. They're allowed to sell whatever they want.
Right, sure.
So we would head over to Benny's Jets every year. We went over to Benny's Jets.
You knew where to get them.
Oh, my goodness. And my parents, they had beachfront property, so we would go. And when you dig those things into the sand and shoot them over the ocean, amazing.
Awesome.
All right. Joining us on the program right now, he's fresh off of, I don't know how many Stadium of Fires this is in a row for Dave McCann. But, Dave, phenomenal job last night, man. Everything go off according to plan. Obviously, the firework incident with the dancer was what everybody loved to talk about today, but everything else seemed like, and she's okay, and everything else seemed like it went really awesome.
You know, once and those that were affected early, we just pray they're okay, and I'm hearing good things, but you just never know. And when you're dealing with fireworks, you know, it's just sometimes things happen. Once we got into the show, the Jonas Brothers were spectacular, and the fireworks were just, and the drones they used this year, and our tribute to the four Freedom Award recipients is just such an awesome vibe, and unfortunately. What happened there with the Jets when they went past and some fireworks went off and some went wayward and some people were hurt. That kind of, you know, put a damper on things.
It's always the worst. It's always the worst because you're dealing with all this stuff live and you got to figure it out. And there's, you know, the parades, all the stuff that happens on 4th of July. It's awesome. And there's so many people and everything you got to account for. It's just, it's hard to go off without incident all the time.
You know, and you just pray for everybody that was affected, and leaving last night, it's just such a spectacular production. It's fun to be a part of. It's fun to feel the patriotism and love everybody has for each other, and that's what makes it such a special moment. And you know, it's once we get the all clear that everyone's okay. I think. The focus will turn back to how awesome Jonas Brothers was, and place was going nuts. And yeah, I just love the 4th of July, and Provo does it so. They're just first class, and then Stadium of Fire. This is my 7th year with Stadium of Fire, and it's been awesome. Just love it.
Well, it's one of those things that obviously you've been associated with for a long, long time, and it's fun to see you guys still do it. And man, you get the old KSL 5 TV crew all back together again every year. So it's always very fun. Let's jump in here a little bit. We've got tons of stuff to talk about. Media Day is coming up on Tuesday. We're going to be leaving on Monday to go down to Vegas, and it's going to be quite interesting to see what BYU can do year 2. It's their second year of the Media Days, and how's BYU preparing this year versus last year in terms of kind of everything? Not even just the on-the-field stuff, the X's and O's stuff, but now that they've been in the league for a year and they're getting back to it, how is Kalani approaching it? We got to chat with him a little bit last week, their golf tournament and everything, but how do you see kind of BYU preparing this year versus what they knew from last year to now?
You know, when we went to Texas, everything was so new for the 4 newcomers. And so there was the welcome wagon was out, and then there was the wagon ready to kick Oklahoma and Texas out the other exit. And so there was that dynamic. So now this year, the newness is it's a new venue in Vegas, and there's 4 new teams. And so there's going to be the welcome mat again. And so I think this year is a little more different because the Oklahoma and Texas are the top dogs, and they're not there. And then there's just a room full of everybody else. I think it is going to be a kind of a meet and greet again for BYU and for everybody else, just because of the 4 newcomers. But I think for Kalani and the guys going down, it's not the first rodeo now. It's a second rodeo, different place, but second rodeo. And I think they'll be a little more comfortable. I think last year taught them what to expect in the league and gave them some hard lessons. And then it's on them to have gone and fixed it and strengthened some weaknesses. And they believe they've done that. So I think even though the expectations are lower than they should be, I think largely because of the mystery at quarterback, I think they go in pretty confident that they're going to be one of the surprise teams in the league as opposed to just one of the newcomers like last year.
I think that would be a popular pick for surprise team. BYU, one of them, kind of like West Virginia from last year. But with Big 12 Media Days, Dave, every year, obviously, that's when the hype train kind of gets going because you get the preseason, media predictions coming out, which they came out this week. What are your thoughts on that? The preseason rankings, where BYU's at, and just the overall Big 12 predictions?
Well, I love in this state because you always look to see where BYU is, and then you look to see where Utah is.
Right.
That's just how the whole state functions. I think even Utah State fans go that same way. Look at this and look at that. Someone asked me about it yesterday, even at Stadium of Fire, and I said, what I think it is the league is at large is buying that one team's quarterback is healthy and back and ready to go, and with a good team around him. So Utah's pick number 1. No one really knows. They're just assuming that after a major knee reconstruction that Rising's going to be that way. And so based on that, well, if he's healthy, then that's what they are. But then you look at BYU and they go, well, the last time we saw Retzlaff, they went 0-4, and Bohannon had surgery, didn't play last year. So they're going down here. And if Rising isn't healthy, Utah's not going to win it. And if BYU's quarterbacks are healthy, they're not going to take 13. So I just think that's kind of because everybody else is about the same. Who's got the good quarterbacks? And you can look in the league and you can see where I think West Virginia should be much higher than they are, but because I saw them last year. But it's kind of a vote of who's got the best quarterbacks. And there's mystery at BYU, and there's this notion that Rising is all fixed and ready for Utah. So that explains 1-13. I think on November 9th in Salt Lake, it won't be 1 against 13. But that's where we sit going into this week, and I think there'll probably be some chatter about that.
Dave, as you kind of see how this coaching staff has dealt with, the adversity of last year and just kind of the newness of last year, what's the thing you think that they learned the most from their first year in the conference?
Well, and Kalani talked to you about it at depth, at key spots, and defensive line depth, linebacker depth, where they really suffered last year and couldn't get off the field in the backside of the season. Quarterback depth, once they lost, they were 5-2 when Slovis went down and didn't win again. And Slovis was a newcomer. So depth at quarterback, I think they answered that. I think Bohannon's going to surprise some people. I think Jake in his second year in the program, historically the second year has been so much better for any BYU quarterback that history's on his side there. You look at some of their other positions, and they're pretty good. They got to stay healthy at receiver. I don't know if there was a game where they were all healthy last year. Certainly not out of the gate, and that added to things. But depth's the biggest thing. But that's what we knew going in. Other teams that had made that transition from G5, as it were, to P5, those first few years have been, whether you're TCU or Utah or anybody, is it's not about your first 11. It's about your second 11, because your second 11 is going to be playing at the end of September. And BYU was better last year with their second 11 than in the years of independence, because they had 1 year of, hey, we're going into the Big 12. This year, I think you'll see more depth in those key spots, which will make them more competitive as the season goes on, as opposed to being worn out. I mean, when they played Iowa State and West Virginia in Jake's 2 starts, they just looked worn out, and both teams just ran the ball right down their throat. They bounced back a little bit against Oklahoma and Texas, or Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, and played better, but then they didn't take care of the football enough to win those close games. So that's the areas I think we'll see significantly different is the second string depth to support the first string guys.
Earlier this week, middle of the week, I think it was on Wednesdays, when BYU announced their new series agreement with Colorado State, Dave, and we had this discussion, Alex and I, the other day about, which direction, BYU, maybe why they decided to go this direction or not. I'm just curious to get your take on it. CSU, a home and home, BYU's in the Big 12 now. Yeah, you want your preseason games, so to speak, your non-conference games to be, I guess, tune-ups to a sense. But at the same time, a home and home with a Mountain West team and it being Colorado State, what were your thoughts on that? I guess our thought was that, maybe they could have at least got a 2-for-1 or maybe a Utah State matchup or something like that.
Yeah, when I saw that, I thought, well, okay, that's not a game on the other side of the country.
Right.
There's a lot of BYU fans in Colorado. I know sometimes they take that into consideration. This year, I think your point is quite evident on why BYU would ever go to Wyoming,
right?
Like ever.
Yeah.
And SMU is a legit top 25 team. Mm-hmm. They were when the season ended last year, and to go there. But those might have had more to do with the past than
Right.
But the game's changed too now, where if you want to make the playoff, you got to do well in your league, but you also got to make your case the whole season. I mean, there's even talk of the SEC going to 9 conference games next year. That's just to solidify their playoff stuff. It just allows them another good SEC team instead of playing Grambling. So for BYU, I think they're still trying to figure it out. But you got to stay competitive. You can't play 3 Weber States and then go to Manhattan, Kansas. Mm-hmm. And not one, you've got to be 3-0 if you're going to do that. But at some point, you've got to play some guys that give you a little bit of legitimacy if you're trying to get to the playoffs. And I think everyone that's a P4 is trying to get to the playoffs. I think that's more important than winning the league, because that's where you want to win your league in basketball, but what you really want to do is get to the big dance.
Yeah,
And so maybe that's some of that logic. It's a good regional game. I like it because of the history. Colorado State is not, of course, it'll be a few years before they get together. Maybe they'll get their act together by then. But they're not what the contenders they used to be. So I think it's a convenient game. And maybe, those kind of games also sometimes link into relationships with basketball and non-conference games down the road in the other sports too. So maybe this is the start of something. Remember, we haven't had any relationship with Colorado State since.
It's been a little bit.
And so it might be the start of something to do that. But you hate to go to a road game anytime, but BYU's not Michigan and Notre Dame. You have to at some point.
Yeah,
and
sure.
So why not make it a team that's a border state?
Dave McCann joining us, former KSL5 TV anchor, was where we all became buddies here at the station, and then, of course, down at BYUtv and writing for Deseret.com. The most recent one here about Hinckley Rapati, this is a guy that I think everybody saw kind of that breakout game for him against Boise State a couple of years ago, and he's dying to get back into it. And he's got all sorts of things going on with him in his life. He's expecting a child. He and his wife are, and that's not a new thing at BYU. But he's a guy that I was always expecting to have kind of a breakout. Where's he going to be this year if he's 100% healthy?
I think he'll be the starting running back. and I think he'll be the starting running back next month.
Wow.
He's healthy. He's got experience. A lot of, there's Miles Davis in there too, and then you got the new kids on the block, right? And even LJ Martin, who's got a lot of promise, he's still got a lot of things to learn. And Hinckley showed his last 3 games he went 3-0, right? Boise State, Stanford, and SMU in the New Mexico Bowl, and then tore his MCL and his meniscus in camp last year, and so he's just itching to get back on the field. He's about 225.
Yeah, he's a big dude. If you see
working out today, his buddy's Tyler Algier, so you should glean as much from Algier as you can. And but I think that there's a lot of questions about a lot of things. Are they deep enough in the running back room? They are if you stay healthy. No one questions the depth if your starter stays healthy, and they've got to have him stay healthy. That is a key, but their goal is to get 4 yards a carry, and they believe Rapati can do that. We'll see, but he's really eager to run behind that offensive line and be back with the boys. It's been a long year for him.
Dave, do you ever recall a July where there's been this much excitement about BYU basketball in the summertime?
Let me tell you what's going on down here. I don't recall a July 4th when it's 70 degrees at LaVell Edwards Stadium.
Yeah, man.
Without a pending storm. I mean, I don't understand. All of a sudden, we had the most perfect night weather-wise, and you're right. We were talking to Will Voigt about that the other day on Wise Guys, and, those guys are newcomers into this. They just think this is how it always is, and we're like, hey, on July 1, people are wondering if – I don't even remember if we had a basketball team.
Right.
We were at a family gathering last night, and my wife came inside and goes, "It's chilly outside." I go, "Get out of here! What are we doing right now?" I mean, I guess it could be a lot worse. We've had some bad 4th of July heat, man. That was good. It was a good.
We're going to be dying on August 31st.
Of
you
course.
Just know it. But July 4th was the night of all nights. But this roster, and I'll tell you what helped it along too is Jimmer's playing in the Olympics, and that's this month. And so there's been a basketball thing this whole time, starting with the former coach leaving, and then bam, bam, bam. And there's just something, and they still have a scholarship to give out. And when they announce that, that'll probably make some noise. And it's just been interesting. Everyone, even last night and around, it's basketball first, and then they go, well, I see we're picked 13th and in football. And, you go, hey, you know what? It's the best time of year when both sports are legit.
Yeah.
Because it's great for our business. We'll all agree on that.
Yeah.
And it's great for the fan to, Alex, as a lifelong Cougar, when basketball hasn't been great, when football ends, it's like, oh, it's gonna be a long time until spring ball.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's been the standard for the last little while. Like, I mean, that was really kind of where we were at for a long time, and I think people now are starting to look around and go, well, when's football going to get some kind of support? And I was like, you guys settle down. I think they've had quite a bit of support over the years, but yeah, that's where everybody's head's at.
Hey, last night we're looking around the stadium. The next time that stadium's full, it'll be opening night, and there'll be some jets fly over, and everyone will be reminded that BYU is a football school with 60,000 plus in there, all with high expectations. But this diversion has been nice. And if you just think about the week of November 5th is the home opener for Kevin Young's group, and then on the 9th is the BYU-Utah game up in Salt Lake. I mean, the two seasons combine on that week, and I'm not even sure if our fan base – we have to walk around with oxygen just to get through it. But isn't it fun, because there's been weeks in the past where, Sam, you're digging for a story because there's nothing, and fans don't even want to go because they're – been out of shape. And so this is the opposite of that. So win, lose, or draw, I just think we're heading into a very exciting time. And I agree with you guys. Having Utah back in the same conference as BYU elevates everything in every sport. And I just think we're headed for a really fun time in sports. And you know what? Looking around at what else is going on in the world and here in our country, we could use a good year of sports. So why not?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it. Dave McCann, Deseret.com, so we can read his byline. He is always pumping out these stories that go a little bit deeper than just the X's and O's on all the players that people are familiar with at BYU, the different sports, and maybe some of these other stories that they're unfamiliar with. And so, Dave, we appreciate it, man. I've got some passes to play down at Riverside, man. So anytime, but I have to have a member with me. That's the only thing. So anytime you want to throw me an invite,
just give me a buzz.
I'll come down. We'll play some golf.
Hey, it's going to be 118 in Vegas.
I saw that.
118.
Hey,
I saw
not
that.
inside Allegiant, inside Allegiant or inside the Ubers that I'm going to be. I will never allow myself to be outside in the actual air. That's what my goal is.
It's going to be a fun week. Thanks,
right,
guys.
Yeah, we'll chat with you next week, Dave. There you go, Dave McCann. BYUtv, Deseret.com. Dave always does a phenomenal job. How about that? Saying Hinckley's going to be the starter.
Yeah, that's
Dave's not Harvey Unga,
right?
The running backs coach, but the reason I asked is because
that's a good question.
I love Hinckley Rapati's game, man.
Yeah,
and he's like, he has a lot of that Tyler Algier kind of power to him. Yeah. He's the 225 part, but he's not the height. He's like 5'9", 5'10", maybe, but he's like. I mean, he's on the all quad team.
Right.
He's on the all squat. He's on the all squat team. So like that's
it's always been just a matter of just staying healthy to be able to be on the field.
Right. And I think people, because they saw him with that success, like catching the ball out of the backfield, like those couple of screen passes were the things that got people kind of going. He's got good vision, and he is. But I mean, LJ Martin, if you could just have some 1-2 punch type of situation,
if you have a 1-2, that's a great thing.
And then to throw in Miles Davis, who has probably better speed than both of those guys, man, that running game, I'm telling you, that's something that we're going to be chatting with Connor Pay a lot on this year.
I
mean, last year was so embarrassing. He just goes, "We're embarrassed, dude. This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. We got our butts handed to us. This sucks." Like, week after week going, we don't know what to tell you. Like, we have the game plan, and then it just doesn't work out. We don't know what's going on. But I will tell you that the report is, and we had the interview with him a couple weeks ago or last week after the golf tournament. He just straight up said, "Dude, we're so pumped. Yeah. Like, everything's changed, and TJ Woods has changed everything for these guys, and they've changed some of their schemes and how they attack these things, and so they feel very, very confident that they're going to have a very different year running the football than they did last year." So there you go. Appreciate Dave McCann joining us. We'll take the break here. We'll come back. We've got more to go right around the corner. Tons to go on a Friday edition, a July 5th edition right here of JJ and Alex. Sam Farnsworth, nice enough to hang out today. Stay with us, 97.5 EKSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best coverage of the Jazz, Utes, and Cougars is right here on The Zone. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
I do not understand what it is. I don't know. Before the holes, check for holes. Blink your eyes, won't forget.
Radiohead bringing you back on a July 5th. Hey, Radiohead coming back in. You sound like my my alternative rock
Studio
DJ.
5 Sports.
Studio 5 Sports. It's going to be our other effort. Trying to get Brooke Walker on board.
Brooke, it's time now for a studio.
Well, no, I've been doing she'll have me come in and do like kind of a, what's the deal with the hockey thing? What's the deal with the Jazz
Studio
stuff?
5 Sports.
Speaking of sports.
I should have had you do my kid's walk up. So my kid,
they do walk ups.
So listen. Yes, 9 year. He's U9 baseball, Wasatch Baseball League. In the league play, they don't allow that stuff.
Right,
but
right.
in tournaments, some tournaments,
sure.
like, you can do walk up songs.
Sure, man.
And so they like the dad who normally does it was out of town, and can someone do this? I was like, I'll do it. So I downloaded the app that you do it with. You put the songs in, whatever. It's
Right.
really simple.
Fine.
But I see this option on there. You can pay to have actual legit ballpark announcers
Oh, I'll do it.
do the kids' names. And I was like, well, why would I do that? I work in this.
Yes,
I'm
we
gonna do
have
it.
a few people who we
And
could
so
get a hold
I
of.
just recorded my own voice. Now batting for the Rangers.
Nice.
Number 0, Taylor Farnsworth. And the song starts. And then I was like, I did it. And I was like, I should have called Alex or someone at the station and just had you guys do it.
Yeah. No, you should have. I'll do it next time. For
Studio
$1,000.
5
Studio 5 Sports.
Listen to that.
I just got an email from, now they've been doing this. I think the vote is happening next week or between, I can't remember what the details are here, but the downtown revitalization stuff, I just got from the mayor's office, from Aaron Mendenhall's office. Our old KSL colleague, Andrew Wittenberg, just who's their press person, just sent us a draft of the downtown. It's over 100+ acres of what they're proposing of how they're going to do this thing, and it's pretty interesting. But they're trying to. I mean, look, I think we can all agree, investing significantly in downtown, which Smith Entertainment Group is going to do, and the taxpayers would be asked to do.
Right.
That's a big deal. I mean, it's a huge deal. Listen, here's my pitch. We're at a crossroads here. We're at a very pivotal moment in our fine city's future right now.
Yes.
And our pitch, of course, is we're in the entertainment business as sports media people. So you know where our vote is.
Right. 100%.
And they're going to get some political pushback. I mean, and nobody loves to be told, hey, well, what's the increase, like a 0.5% on the sales tax, right? And look, it's a lot. You're asking, and every city has to do this if they're going to put new stadiums in, things like that. Seattle at one point had just been burned out.
Yeah.
Like having to rebuild Key Arena after they had just built they just asked for tons of funds for Safeco at that point now, whatever it is, T-Mobile Ballpark, and then at Quest Field, which is now, I don't know.
Whatever
the Seahawks stadium is.
Look,
so every city can get a little bit over
100%. I had a coworker here at the building who doesn't work in sports, behind the scenes on the news side, asked me 2 days ago, like, hey, so what do you think of the downtown project? I'm like, well, what do you mean? What do I think? Well, do you think they should do it? I'm like, well, 100%. I mean, obviously my vote's going to go there. I'm a big sports fan, and I know that hockey and an arena and the NBA
This
would be
is
the
good for our
central piece.
business. Very, very selfishly, it is.
100%. And it's great for fans. But then there's a lot of people who you have to understand, they just aren't fans. And they don't care. So I'm like, well, I'm trying to go with the pitch that they're throwing out there too. It's about more than just sports here. You're revitalizing downtown. And I like what you said. This is a pivotal moment in the history of Salt Lake City. Why? For multiple reasons we could get into, but I'll give you one big reason why. If this doesn't happen, guess what happens? Ryan Smith moves his arena plans to Sandy or somewhere else down there, right? Because with this NHL,
you want Lehigh to take all these all these funds? Come on, man.
So do you really want to? This would be the exact situation that the Arizona Coyotes were in, where when puck drop happens, everyone's driving in rush hour traffic to try to get there, and people just gave up. People just gave up trying to go to those games in Glendale, and that's why they moved to a stinking 4,500 seat college arena. Okay, and that's why they don't have a hockey team anymore. So you want to go down that road? Let's go down that road, I guess. But I maybe that's just me being the sports fan who just thinks that this is the only way. It's not the only way, I know, but look, this is great for downtown. Think of the area. Salt Palace, the west side of the Salt Palace is just dead all the time. Every now and then there's little convention things or whatever. But
right, and what do? They shut the road down.
Yeah.
And everybody's complaining there's going to be so much shut down stuff around here if that ends up being. And I'm like, yeah, maybe, but you know what? A lot of times when they have bigger events, they already shut those roads down.
And look, I will be the first to admit I have a lot to learn about the project, what it would require from the citizens of the city, of the county, of the state, what it would require from local business and things like that. I understand I have a lot to learn about it, but I also understand that it would bring more commerce, more just money, economy to the area of Salt Lake City and to Utah. And it would, just like all of the politicians are saying, make Salt Lake City the gem of our state, right? To just kind of, I don't know if gem is the right word, but it would make it a destination for sure. So
not a gem, Sam.
So anyway,
the crown jewel.
The crown jewel.
We love saying that. Right?
I think that's what they said, right?
Something along those lines. Anyway. Yeah. Either way, look, Ryan Smith is willing to throw a lot of investment here, and I know it's a lot to ask. I know it's a lot to ask for the city. And look, as a person who, works here downtown,
right,
owns a home here in Salt Lake City, still pays property taxes, and we love this place. And aside from working here, and I want to work here for a long time, we love downtown. Yeah. And I've seen it go through some really, really bad spots, and we're not in a bad spot. Well, you know what we're in right now is a spot where we can actually make it even more phenomenal.
Yes.
And not do the thing where, because I also, when I first started working here, 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago, I'm like, downtown was, after 6:30 p.m., it was like, fly, you fools! Like, get out of here, right? It was the old Sports Center commercial, right? Who was that? Charlie Steiner, right?
Follow me to freedom.
Follow me to freedom. Fly, you fools! Yeah. Follow me to freedom with his tie tighter out his head. That's what it felt like downtown, and we're past that now. But we could get back to a really bad spot here in Salt Lake if we don't see that significant investment again.
I know. Sorry. Just go to a downtown, go to a sports market where they've developed something similar to this and check it out, and you'll be sold.
Yep.
I'm just saying, you will be sold on, okay, I want this in Salt Lake City.
Yes.
And it's not just about sports. Sports is the centerpiece, yes, but that's not what it's not only about that.
If we're going to get a baseball team here on top of it, come on, let's make it happen. All right. My goodness. All the things. Sorry, I got off the rails there, Jeremy. I was don't look at me like that.
We ruined the rundown.
No, it's a Friday.
I'm out of here.
Redo it, Jeremy. Start over.
Hey, Jeremy, just press reset. You know
Rewrite.
What? Is there a dump button we could do for the last 11 minutes? There's something. Just take away all the. I don't know why Sam got all political. In all this, how dare
Coming
he?
Up next on Sam and Alex,
we've got a call into the mayor's office. That's all I want to do is have a conversation with the. That's a lot. You know what? I'm gonna commit to that though. I don't really want to have. I don't want to talk to a mayor about all this. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I hate the back and forth. Trying to play both sides. All these things. We're not doing that. 100%. Let me just tell you what side I'm on. I work in sports media. Here in downtown Salt Lake City, I want to see the sports scene grow big.
Studio 5 Sports.
Of course, I got to see it grow. And if eventually that's what they're going to ask to do, they go, look, Studio 5's turned into something bigger. It's turned into a full-time sports situation. I'll say, okay, I'll host it with Brooke. It's fine. Let me see here. Oh, we've got to give away some stuff, right? Caller number 12 right now gets a family 4-pack of tickets to the Ultimate Sports Bash at Mount America Expo Center next Friday and Saturday. And guess what you get? By the way, an enormous amount of athletes, sports figures, past, present, and future. You can absolutely go there. Check it out. You'll see all these different, panels where your favorite athletes are going to be. There's a long list of former BYU, former University of Utah, former Utah State, tons of athletes here locally that you're going to be able to see and hang out with. And you can win those tickets right now, 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-9663. Call number 12 to 801-575-ZONE. Wins those tickets to the Ultimate Sports Bash at Mount America Expo Center next week. Okay. Let me see here. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll get into we've got a couple of things. One, we've got some sound for Isiah Collier. I don't know if you know, this is the newest member, one of the newest members of the Utah Jazz. He was picked in the middle there. Of all the 3 picks that they had in the draft, he was the number 29 overall pick, and you can hear some a conversation there. Plus, I've got an update to some of the list of demands from teams who might be looking for Lauri Markkanen. It's not their demands that matter, though. It's whatever they could get back in return. So a report on what this particular team is looking for when it comes to if they can make a deal for Lowry Market. And so stay right here, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Don't touch that dial!
On 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, everybody. JJ and Alex on a Friday. Jeremiah Jensen, he had a whole week off. That's kind of crazy, right?
Good for him.
Yeah. I know he actually did a couple TV things during the middle of the week, though. So
When the Jazz had
your
their
week is
press
off. I was like,
availability,
Sam Farnsworth, nice enough to jump in and have these fun conversations with me as we get you through the rest of the week here. If you're like me and you woke up and you thought today was Saturday, some of you, like us, had to go into work and go, oh, yeah, it's not Saturday. I was getting ready to mow the lawn, clean out the garage. Nope.
Oh, man.
I got to wake up tomorrow and do all that
today
stuff.
saying it feels like a Monday. I
Yeah,
guess that makes sense,
Rusty Keys from F100 told me that too, and I thought, that wasn't me, because I felt like yesterday felt like a holiday.
Right.
It was 4th of July, and it felt like, okay, you have today off from work. But it felt like today we were going to wake up and it was going to be Saturday, because that's what it felt
Right.
like.
Holidays always mess with your mind.
Yeah, I get it. But alas, I'll have to mow the lawn tomorrow.
Darn it.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's. This is an interview we haven't been able to listen to yet. This was Justin Zanuck sitting down with the. Oh, you still jamming out to the music? He's like, I thought that was maybe that was Isiah Collier's band, bro. He's like, hold on, man. The product out of USC. This is a guy who people are very excited about because he at some point had been looked at as being a lottery guy. Some people even had him in the early projections as being like last year, as having him as kind of the number 1 overall pick. Mm-hmm. That's how talented Isiah Collier is, and the Utah Jazz got him at number 29 overall. Here's what he talked about as he came to Utah. It was his very first practices and getting to know some of the guys here at the Utah Jazz. Isiah Collier, the number 29 overall pick for the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, Isaiah, Jeff Rennie with Fox 13. What's this experience like, your first practice today? You got your family over there with your NBA jerseys. Quite a day.
It's great. Definitely just being here in Utah, being here for the first time in Utah as well. So for me, I'm just having fun, taking it day by day and just enjoying everything.
Being agreeing with ABC4, on draft night, you expressed a little frustration of falling to number 29. Mm-hmm. A lot of guys use that as motivation. And do you already come into the league with kind of that chip on the shoulder to prove the other teams wrong?
It's just motivation just playing in the NBA alone. So, just, playing against, great level of talent. That's a blessing in disguise already. So, for me, I have to prove myself regardless. And, I'm just happy to be in this situation.
Tony Jones from The Athletic. Being a guy such as yourself who likes to get downhill off the dribble, how do you think the spacing of the NBA that you're going to see translates to what you do in terms of the strengths of your game?
I think that would definitely just showing off my passing ability, just finding my bigs, finding shooters. And I think, just keeping it simple is that. I think that would just, show those type of abilities.
David Locke, Jazz Radio. How do you self-evaluate your single year at USC?
It was more like an up and down season. Didn't go the way we wanted it to go, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. I learned a lot as a player, and it's gonna help in the long run for me. So I definitely learned how to play that point guard position, at a high level, especially just being in college. It's not the same as other type of college. NBA or high school games. So. Not as much spacing, but, just learn to, just make simple plays, and I think that's going to help me in the long run.
Hey, Isaiah, Ryan Miller from KSL.com. What are you expecting to get out of Summer League?
To definitely just compete. I think it's going to be simple as that, competing every single, time down the court. I think that's going to be the biggest thing.
Sarah Todd, Deseret News. Why do you think that the second half of your season at USC you had so many improvements in different areas?
I definitely got to, see the game from a different perspective when I got hurt. So, just watching a lot of film, definitely just sitting on the sideline, be able to see my teammates from a different point of view. That definitely helped me in a way and helped me to the player I am now today. So, I see that it was really important, for me, and I'm looking forward to everything.
I'm sure that through the draft process, you heard that there were concerns and questions about your shooting and consistency. What is your reaction to kind of those questions?
I mean, I don't really, pay attention to it at all. I mean, I know, the work I put in and, the reps, I continue to work on. So, I mean, it's going to show.
I look at the game against Colorado where you played really well, especially down the stretches. One of the games where you kind of put it all together for an entire, 40 minutes. If you remember that game, what do you remember from that game? What did you take from that game? And, just obviously playing against KJ Simpson and, other guys who ended up, being in the draft. What did you take from that experience, from that singular game?
I mean, we should have won for sure, but I mean, I definitely say, just going into double overtime, the fatigue played a factor for sure. I think I played like 40 minutes that game, something like that. But I mean, for me, it's just just making simple plays. I think that's what it was. I had like 9 assists that game, 1 turnover. I think that was one of my best passing games. So I mean, it just made the simple plays. Kept everything pretty easy. So yeah.
Andy Larson, Salt Lake Tribune. Who are the players that you like watching in the NBA and have liked watching growing up and as you improve as a player?
I mean, I wouldn't say anybody I compare myself to, but I definitely definitely like to watch Brunson, Anthony Edwards, little Kyrie as far as them getting downhill, and then a little bit of Ja Morant. So I'll definitely say those 4 the most, as far as just playing that PG spot.
You mentioned your relationship with Keontae George developed this summer or last summer. How did that develop, and what can you learn from him, who's going through a very similar situation last year that you're about to go through this year?
I mean, it was actually kind of crazy because, I kept asking him, I might need a shirt. I just kept telling him that the whole summer, end up being here. But, I mean, it's definitely great, just seeing Keontae just work every single day, at his craft, throughout the whole summer. And just seeing him, continue to get better every single day. He's going to be a great player for sure. So, I mean, it's definitely, good to learn from that as well. So, yeah.
What do you know of your fellow Jazz rookies, Kyle and Cody? You know them from past playing basketball. What do you think of that?
Played Cody a couple times this year. And, I'm real familiar with Kyle. So, I mean, I'm excited to play with them. I'm looking forward to it.
Isiah, Craig Bowler, Jack, Utah TV, Jazz TV. First, I want your jacket on opening night. I don't know who your tailor is, but it looks good. Yeah, looks real good. Being the number 1 pick or the number 1 recruit of high school, that's stress. You playing with Bronny James, that's stress. You're the 29th pick. You wanted to be higher. Just how prepared are you mentally? I would think you would be a very mental alpha type of personality. What's your thought?
I mean, I'm ready for anything that comes my way. Simple as that. So, I mean, I just approach it the same way as, just going out there, compete, and just having fun. I mean, I think, I get to play basketball for a living. That's, that's a blessing already. And just, being able to, play the game every single day is fun. So, yeah.
Lemma Harrington, Jazz TV. To follow up on Craig's question, description, alpha type of player. A lot of young players in this locker room, and leadership. Oftentimes, leaders are born as opposed to built. Can you speak to how you approach leadership, what that looks like for you?
I mean, I think I play the hardest position on the floor. So, I mean, you got to be that coach on the floor. So, I mean, just being that PG, I mean, I think it starts with you as far as just being that leader. I think that's really important, PG makes it. You got to know all 5 spots. So, I mean, that's a real big thing for me. Definitely learned that, going through college. And, I'm looking forward to it.
Isiah, it's noticeable you've mentioned passing like 4 or 5 times. You have the best shake of, I think anyone in this draft on that crossover at the top or just any of the ball tightness in your dribble. How do you use that and yet at the same time, make sure you're involving teammates and doing the passing you're mentioning?
I mean, just making the right play. I think that's, what it is. I mean, for me, I'm going to always make the right play, keep it simple, and whatever I got to do to win, I mean, that's what it is.
It's for Justin. A lot of 19-year-olds come in and they need to put on weight. They need to put on muscle. Isiah seems like he has an NBA body already. Where do you want to see him mature physically and mentally?
Yeah, we have a personalized plan for Isiah. I think a lot of it is for him, he's a junkie. He loves watching basketball. He's studied it, but just to go through the experience of just how fast and physically big and strong this league is, he's certainly equipped to step in that way because he's physically ready. But there's always improvements we can make because he's a young guy, and then let alone the player development part. It's probably going to be more involved in mechanics and footwork and really continuing to make sure, like, from a conditioning standpoint, that he can go long stretches, especially on both ends with our team, where, with young guys on our team, that trying to turn them into two-way players. Isaiah's got all the talent and physically and skill-wise to do that. Those are the most valuable players in our leagues, the guys that can play both ways. So there's enormous potential there, and we're going to help him unlock it.
Isaiah, is there a reason that you picked number 13?
Is there a reason? Nah, I mean, it was just available. So, yeah.
What, man? This ain't Costco.
Yeah, it was
I like it, though.
Yeah.
There you go. Isiah Collier. Picked the number 13 for just such deep respect for what that number's meant to this Utah Jazz organization. Oh, man, it was in the closet.
Could have got number one at Costco.
I love it. It was in the, it was the only number they let. I got to pick before. Do you think he got to pick before Filipowski? Yeah, you pick in the order.
Right? In the order you're taking.
What number were you taking?
Yeah.
Get in the back, dude. What did Filipowski take as a number?
22.
That's right, because 22 is a terrible Jazz number.
Yeah, Ben Anderson did.
He
a
did
whole
the full breakdown
thing about it. Yeah.
Let me see. And then what number did Cody? Oh, 10, right? Did he go 10?
I didn't see. But I'll tell you what. Look, Isaiah Williams. He was projected. What was
Isaiah Collier? Collier.
I'm sorry. Yeah, mixing up the two draft picks. Now, if there was a hybrid of Cody Williams and Isaiah Collier,
we'd take that guy. He would have been the number one overall guy.
Now, Isaiah Collier, projected about a year ago projected that he would be
a top 5 pick.
Right, top 5 pick, right? And so the fact that obviously some injuries got in the way and things like that, but the fact that he ended up where he was in the draft, I think a lot of people are really excited about his potential with the Utah Jazz and in the NBA. Yet still, I want to go back to when we talked with David Locke a couple days ago and kind of asked him about last year's draft class versus this year's draft class. And he still thinks that Taylor Hendricks is the best player of the 6, that Keontae George is right behind him. And then he mentioned Williams, right? So Collier wasn't necessarily in that area, in that list yet. But I still think that there's this thought and this feeling that he just has such a high ceiling and the potential is there to be something really special.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Every one of these guys is going to come in, and we'll see how they do at Summer League, of course, next week. We'll be out there, I think, on the Plaza on Monday. So checking out the very first cuts of what Summer League are going to look like. But Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right, of next week is your Summer League. We'll be out there on Monday, and then we'll be in Vegas for the Big 12 Media Days, of course, on Tuesday and Wednesday. So we'll take a break right here. We'll come back. We've got more to go right around the corner, so stay right here. We'll chat about that Lowry Markkanen trade update that just kind of has come up and percolated back up to the top of the news pile on a July 5th. So we'll talk about that, and we'll also jump in a little bit here to some of the sound. The newest, the head coach of the they don't even call them head coaches; they're just the coach of the Utah Hockey Club, Andre Tourney, addressed the media this afternoon. Sam Farnsworth was right there, and we'll chat about that, and then we'll listen to what he had to say about these new guys that are coming in, and just first a little bit of them being in Utah and trying to figure some things out. We'll stay right here. More to go. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.